Today I'll be diving into one of the most ambitious and beloved entries in the Stronghold series.
Stronghold 2.
Released in 2005 by Firefly Studios, this game took a giant leap forward for the series, introducing a fully 3D world and adding layers of complexity that elevated castle simulation to a whole new level. But what made Stronghold 2 so immersive? In this video we'll explore the groundbreaking mechanics that not only redefined the series, but also created arguably the most immersive castle sim in gaming history. From your lord's medieval life to the nitty gritty of castle management, let's break down the game changing features that make Stronghold 2 such an immersive experience. One of the most immersive features in Stronghold 2 is how it breathes life into your lord. Unlike previous or more recent games in the series where your lord does little but sit atop your keep, like a glorified dungeon heart from the Dungeon Keeper series, in Stronghold 2 your lord truly lives a life. Whether it's attending church mass with his people or enjoying a feast, your lord is actively engaged with castle life, making Stronghold 2's world feel alive. In Stronghold 2, your lord interacts with so many aspects of the game, many of which are designed for him to actively engage with. You have your cooks and servants who work tirelessly to prepare feasts and serve food to those who attend. You have your jester and musician who provide entertainment for feasts and dances. Then there's your lady who is looked after by servants and who is responsible for creating dresses for dancers and who keeps your lord happy in more ways than one.
Woo!
These small but essential details create an interconnected world where characters feel alive, going about their medieval lives. In return for keeping your lord and lady happy, the player gains honour, providing incentive for the player to do so. This makes each castle feel alive and vibrant, with each player having their unique set of structures to keep their lord happy. Honestly, it's great fun just watching your lord go about his day, something I truly miss in other Stronghold entries, where your lord doesn't live out his own life, and immersive features like the jester and lady are much more limited. One of the ways in which Stronghold 2 is so immersive compared to other games in the series is due to the ability to see within pretty much any building in the game. Players can see within their keeps, towers and stairwells, as well as many other buildings that are simply inaccessible or don't exist in other Stronghold games. This for me adds so much to castle life, as you can follow your peasants, units and nobles wherever they go. No longer are buildings a pre-rendered cutscene that your peasants enter. Buildings are fully realised, with workers actually interacting with what goes on inside them. In Stronghold 2, your peasants actually go to the pub, find a table, grab a drink and mingle with other guests, before leaving and staggering home. The same is true for churches, where peasants go to mass, all gather at the church, find a seat and listen to the priest give his service, before all leaving together. It makes the world feel truly immersive, and for me is one of the most realistic depictions of castle life I have seen in a game, with the only close contender being Kingdom Come Deliverance, which in my view is the most realistic and immersive medieval RPG ever created.
Welcome, brother.
Not only can you follow your peasants as they live their lives, you can also follow your units wherever they go, with key instruments of castle warfare being fully realised in Stronghold 2. Archers can be placed inside towers over murder holes to rain arrows on enemies below, without the risk of being hit by missiles, and troops can fight inside towers, creating choke points and realistically depicting the challenges a besieging force would face in medieval warfare. The ability to fight both inside buildings and outside added so much immersion to battles, and is a feature I truly miss in other entries in the series. With the improved unit collision seen in other entries, stairwells and tower defences could have really been improved upon, and it's such a shame that this was lost, as it is such a realistic and immersive depiction of siege warfare. The simple act of units and peasants always moving and never being lost due to structures blocking views or pre-rendered cutscenes inside buildings makes the game so realistic and immersive. Now let's dive into the nitty-gritty systems that added realism to castle life. Stronghold 2 introduced rats and gong. While unusual, they were surprisingly immersive. In medieval life, cleanliness was essential. The Black Death spread through fleas on rats, so managing waste was a key concern. Stronghold 2 captured this in surprising detail, with gong farmers tasked with cleaning human waste. If you ignored waste management, diseases would break out, killing peasants and affecting productivity. Then there's rats who would infest your castle without falconers to manage them. Falconers would spot rats and hunt them with their specially trained falcon, helping to keep your people happy. The inclusion of these gritty systems added a layer of realism. Some players found it annoying, but I think if you placed gong farms whenever your population increased by 20 or more, and added a few falconers, these issues would manage themselves, while making your castle feel even more realistic and immersive. In Stronghold 2, Firefly Studios also made a major shift by overhauling the system used to bring fear to your populace. Other games in the series like Stronghold 1, Crusader and Warlords allowed you to increase productivity within your castle by instilling fear upon your populace through fear structures. But in Stronghold 2 the system was replaced with a much more active, fully realised crime and justice system, where the player has to actively deal with criminals to prevent major disruption to their resource production in the game, creating a system that was much more immersive and realistic to castle life, where crime amongst the peasant folk was always an issue.
It's all mine!
Criminals were randomly generated in the game, transforming a randomly selected peasant into a criminal. Once a peasant had become a criminal, they would begin to sneak around your castle, dressed up in the clothes of a criminal, with their hood and outlaw look. These peasants who became criminals would then steal from the player's stockpile or granary, leading to a decrease in happiness and productivity throughout the castle. If the player didn't enforce strict justice, their castle would soon be overrun. To catch criminals, the player would build guard posts around the town that worked similar to falconers, where the newly recruited guard would always be on the lookout for criminals and chase them down once spotted. Once caught, the guard then escorted them to the courthouse to face justice. But here's the twist. Criminals are always found guilty. It was never up to the player to prove that the criminal had done the crime, only what punishment would be most fitting. And oh boy, were there a lot of punishments to choose from, with the player having the option to spare their lives or take the darker route by executing them.
Well, Trigger, everything's rigged up and all set.
Yep, it's one of the prettiest scaffolds you ever built, Sheriff.
It was up to the player how cruel they wanted to be, and each specific torture device had a set time to rehabilitate criminals. The more brutal the torture, the quicker the peasant would repent, with executions bringing by far the quickest solution, swiftly killing the criminal and having another peasant take his place, back at his former place of work. For me, the crime system adds a dark edge to the game, and it makes your castle always feel alive, with crime being an ongoing issue for you and the Lord to manage. It's one of the rare instances where a game's justice system is so visually involved, creating a far more immersive fear system than seen in any other Stronghold game. Stronghold 2 also introduced grand communal events like jousting tournaments and theatre performances, which built upon the fear system, only now the focus was on happiness structures. Now happiness structures are timed events that bring the entire population together, boosting happiness but taking peasants away from their work, decreasing productivity throughout your castle. Jousting tournaments raised happiness and honour, providing both an immersive spectacle and a happiness boost. Each contender in the tournament even had his own banner for his shield and horse, immersing the player in the joust, as you could even actively pick a side and see which one came out on top.
Welcome to the new world. God save you, if it is right that he should do so.
The theatre offered cultural enrichment, with citizens gathering for performances that improved their overall happiness. These events made Stronghold 2 feel like a living, breathing world full of life and dynamic interactions, with these events making the castle feel alive and changing the way it looked throughout the game. The random events seen in other entries in the series just have nowhere near the level of immersion as those fully realised and animated in Stronghold 2, where nothing is left to the imagination. It is all there for the player to see. Another standout feature in Stronghold 2 was the ability to create fully customisable estates. You weren't just managing your castle, you were managing an entire kingdom. Each estate could be uniquely shaped, with buildings placed to optimise production or defend against enemies. This wasn't just for show, these estates were integral to your strategy. Whether you needed iron, food or military strength, the layout of your estate determined your success. Sadly, later games like Stronghold Crusader 2 and Warlords simplified estates, removing much of the creative freedom that made Stronghold 2's world feel alive, and replacing it with pre-decided buffs, of which the player had no control, which for me was nowhere near as immersive and often felt separate from your castle, instead of estates feeling like an intricate part of your kingdom. From your lord's truly realised medieval life to unique systems like crime management, gong and communal events, Stronghold 2 remains one of the most immersive strategy games ever made. It didn't just let you build a castle, it made you feel like you were living in a medieval world, managing a bustling, dynamic populace, with each individual citizen living their life, going to work, attending church and getting drunk at the pub. It's all there. It's an immersion no other Stronghold game has come close to, and I'm kinda hoping it's brought back for Stronghold and Real, with Firefly turning their focus to the castle management aspect of the game over the RTS. Please share your thoughts in the comments below and be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Stronghold content. Thanks for watching.